Okay, so can you see GridWorld now? Should be. Ah, excellent. Okay. That's interesting. I had not tried that with Illuminate, which was my fault. I tried everything else before the session today. Illuminate apparently does not like to application share Java applications. So I had to share a region instead. Right, have that up there so students can see. This is first project, which may not be the best one to share on the first day. But if you wish to see, right, this is the first project that students look at. So you can have this up there so that students see this little bug running around, dropping little flowers. And you can use this as a part of the conversation. One of the first introductions that you can have is then have them get that up and running, or even on the screen, and have students come up and click and interact with the GridWorld. Take a look, have them click on cells. What happens when you click? Right, a first click is going to give you the things that you can stick, your actors that you can stick in your world. What is the difference between having just a bug and a bug with a color? You could talk about how the bug with a color doesn't work very well. The color part is very interesting. All right, what happens if you click on an actor? Well, these are what they can do. All right, there's an act, you can get their color, and it's going to tell you the color. Have them click remove self from grid. This took him off. Alright? I don't know quite how I got my actor there. They can change colors. Have them move something to another location. This gives them the opportunity to explore locations. See what happens when they can move things on top of other things. And just give them the opportunity to click and explore. Stepping through, running this first project, even before having them walk through the student manual. And have them do that. So I was kind of letting them explore. What can you add? What happens with each piece? You can use this as an early discussion of inheritance. I didn't discuss inheritance day one, but it does give you, when you look at it, like I said, this was pulling these suggestions from various places, and I wasn't sure I really liked that. But it does right here with the separation of the methods, right, give you the opportunity to talk about how some of these seem to belong to bugs, some of these belong to actors. Like I said, I wouldn't use that day one. I would use that a few days in, but it is important to remember that GridWorld really does show you that, so as soon as you talk about inheritance, you can go back to GridWorld and pull this up, and they've already seen these opportunities, right? You may even want to point out that these have different icons, and we're going to talk about why those are different coming up soon. So it's a good place where the very beginning introduction to GridWorld, they're seeing something that you're going to talk about, and to make sure that you pull that back in when you talk about inheritance. Because a bug is a type of actor, bugs can do everything actors can do, but that act is different for each thing. So this is a good thing to kind of make sure you remember to bring back up. Yes, it is no visual, which is one great aspect of this. Pause. No, that wasn't very much good. I apologize. This is new. There we go. Okay. They've changed Illuminate since I was using it exclusively. These are some questions from Jude Hornick, who taught, who was one of the people that I read her introduction on how to introduce GridWorld. Some additional things she had them do besides just the Part 1 questions in the student manual. Oh wait, these are inheritance questions, sorry. So for instance, having them list the bug class methods versus the inherited methods of actor. Drawing the inheritance diagram for these classes. Which is one neat thing about BlueJ. If they open up the GridWorld into BlueJ, they can actually see that. So you can have them draw that inheritance diagram, and then you could pull it up and show them the difference. Have them test can move, defining which methods cause the bug to turn, and forcing moving. So for instance, when you look at a bug, they have a lot of options here, right? So you want to have them explore each of these. How move will move them forward. Turn is going to cause them to turn. You have a move to, so that you can type in a specific. Right? You have a remove self, so you can delete yourself. Trying to find some of the others. And I know that's going off the edge of the page there. I'm going to have to deal with that. So one of the things you can do with can move is either have them look at the code for can move, or simply have them try different situations. For instance, this bug can't move. If I stuck a new bug in and had them move, it tells me true. So have them maybe explore can move without, I meant to put a bug there. Different situations so that they can tell the difference between different times that the bug can move and the bug can't, and then go look at it in the code. As I said, that was a little more later when dealing with inheritance. I thought those were some good questions. Let's just jump back to Part 1 real quick, and we'll go through it. Do you all give your students a copy of the student manual? Day 1? Yeah, I did too. When do you go through Part 1? Just out of curiosity. That was kind of talked about a little bit, but right, Part 1 provides us with these 10 questions. How do you have them use it? Okay, so Crystal, you actually introduced that, and then GridWorld quite a bit later. I guess Erase is not too far in, but you use it as do parts 1 and 2 together, which is, you know, an acceptable way of doing things. It does give the students an opportunity to be familiar with Java. Yeah, there really isn't much of part one. This is part one, right? We just almost basically did part one, where we looked at GridWorld, we clicked on things, we moved the bug around. They provide specific questions, right? Does it always move? What direction does it move? What does it do if it doesn't move? Which is, of course, turn. What does it leave behind? Well, it leaves flowers. What happens when it's at the edge? What happens when it has a rock? Do flowers move? What behaviors do flowers have? Does a rock move? And can more than one actor be in the same location? So it's really just trying to make the students do the exploration we were just kind of looking at, right? Explore each of the different methods and get an understanding of each of the three basic actors. It doesn't even ask about actor itself. They do ask about, right, they basically just ask about bug, so that you know that bugs don't always move. It always tries to move front, it'll turn, it drops flowers that are its color. This is an interesting distinction. I'm not sure my students ever explored this, and this would be something that you would probably have to do, because you know, most students are just looking what happens when it's at the edge. Well, there is a difference apparently here, that if he is at the edge here and just told to act, he's going to turn. However, if he were at, I'm going to just stick a bug here, at the edge and told to move, he would take himself out. And that might be something that's an interesting discussion point. But as Crystal pointed out, that might be something may or may not want to talk about before they've looked too much at Java, right? I mean, part one can really be done first day of class if you really want. I did mine pretty early. I did mine earlier than you did, Crystal, simply because I tried to integrate GridWorld into teaching arrays, into teaching conditionals, into teaching loops. And so introducing the students to the type of actors that are basically in GridWorld, and the idea of objects having methods and attributes is something I introduced. I don't think I did it the first day of class, although you certainly could, but it was something I did early so that I could integrate GridWorld more throughout. And that's what we're going to be talking in the next few weeks about, is what kind of projects can you use in those early things, so that even though they haven't really looked at part two, because part two of GridWorld does have to come much later, how can you utilize GridWorld earlier? And if you're going to do that, you might as well look at the kinds of things that they have available. So that was completing part one of the manual. Have either of you ever done the role play? I'm curious. I did the role play, so I'm willing to share my experience. I'm curious, Crystal, did you do it? Or I don't know, Devin, have you even seen the role play?